again. They're all dead. They are dead because of me.
Why are we opening with a flashback that gets repeated in episode 9?
Rotten luck.
Wait, how do you remember your catchphrase? Your memories were destroyed, right? Did Index ever tell you what your catchphrase was in the supposed 2 weeks before the story arc began?
Seriously, who would have expected a textbook to cost so much? It's extortion.
Well, most textbooks these days are hardcover, which could be a contributing factor to their high prices. Why wouldn't you expect a textbook to be expensive? Toma is holding what seems to be one textbook in this shot, but he is now holding what looks to be 3 textbooks in the next shot.
No way. Nobody can eat 3,600 yen worth of ice cream.
Where on that billboard does it say 3,600 yen of ice cream?
I can't remember anything before the last 2 weeks. I'm not entirely sure why, but for some reason I want to keep my memory loss a secret from everyone else.
Well, I do want to know why, because keeping your memory loss a secret kinda makes it harder for you to remember stuff on your own, don't you think? It would be easier for you to just say that you don't remember anything. But since you insist on keeping your memory loss a secret, that means your amnesia problem isn't anything important throughout at least the first season.
I was explaining that as a nun, I live a life of austerity. Therefore, I am forbidden from indulging in a tasty treat like ice cream.
Well, I'm glad that the people in my place aren't nuns then, because by your logic, nuns can't have ice cream. On the other hand, though, I feel sorry for the nuns for having to face such restrictions.
Well, man, you gonna tell us your little friend's name or not? Let me guess, is it a dude dressed up as a chick?
Don't you dare remind me of the Angel Fall version of Index. I'll explain why I hate that version of Index when we get to it.
Kinda flat to be a girl, if you know what I mean.
Geez, guys, there are some things you just don't say out loud. Sure, she's a little on the small side, but...
Toma!
Yeah, what was that about not saying certain things out loud, Toma? Just in case you confuse this with McDonald's.
Shakes for me! Shakes for me! 3 milkshakes in a row for me!
Thanks for the grub, Kami. How'd I forget my wallet?
How did all of this end up being my treat?
I don't know, man. You spent a lot of money on that textbook, and yet you still had enough money to pay for everyone's food. I feel sorry for you.
Toma! We're over here!
Wow, found a booth.
Do you think it's a good idea to sit in a booth that's already taken?
On 3, guys. Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
Oh, for God's sakes, why did you guys just say rock, paper, scissors instead? Those 3 words aren't that difficult to say very quickly. I know I'm being extremely nitpicky here, but still, a pretty cringeworthy translation.
Excuse me, you ate yourself to ruin? How?
The hamburgers were only 100 yen each. And on top of that, I had a bunch of coupons to use. Before I knew it, I'd ordered 30 of them.
You ordered 3,000 yen worth of hamburgers and ate all 30 of them? I'm surprised you didn't get a stroke from it, like Peter Griffin.
I need a return train ticket. It's 600 yen.
Okay, so what?
I only have 500. I'm short.
That's a shame, huh?
It was dumb. I bought too many burgers. And then I had to eat them all.
Sorry about that. Maybe you could borrow the money you need for a ticket from a friend or something.
Oh, that's a great idea. Thank you.
It's also an idea that you should have thought of to begin with.
Why are you looking at me? Do you expect a handout from a perfect stranger?
It's not much. Come on.
Huh? No way. I don't go around handing out money.
Can't even spare 100 yen.
Hey, I'm not the one who wasted all of my travel money on hamburgers.
A perfect way to speak to a beautiful priestess such as her. You've got a real way with the ladies, Kami.
Beautiful? I am beautiful. You want to give me money.
I don't have any to give you.
If you didn't buy everything for Index and the others, you wouldn't have enough money to spare. Thus, you would give her some of your money. Also, no, Himegami, you are not beautiful. You are basically Maori Kazuka, only with way less emotion.
Look, it's simple. She used to be a priestess, but now she's some kind of magician. Just take it easy.
That's nice. You've changed a lot since the first time we met, haven't you, Toma?
Remember, Toma has lost his memories. Why else would he have changed since then?
I'm just taking her at her word. Why is that such a big deal?
Why is it a big deal? You had to strip off all my clothes before you'd believe I was the real thing.
Need I remind you, Index, you were the one who wanted Toma to prove that his ability was real. What else did you expect him to do?
Who are these guys? Are they acquaintances or something?
Yes, they're my teachers.
Why do you need so many teachers?
Toma! Hey, look at this! Here!
An abandoned cat. Huh.
So I was thinking, maybe...
No way.
Hey, I haven't told you what I was thinking yet.
We can't keep the cat.
Oh, but why not, Toma? Sphinx needs a new home. Why can't we keep him?
The student dorms don't allow pets, so there's no way that Sphinx could... Hey, what are you doing naming it already?
It's not fair! He's mine, he's mine, he's mine, he's mine!
I said no, and I mean it.
Index, didn't you hear what Toma just said? The dormitories don't allow pets. You'll need to talk to the head of the dorms to see if they can make an exception or not. Also, Toma, you already share a room with an illegal immigrant in an apartment that doesn't allow roommates. I'm surprised you haven't been caught for breaking the rules yet. Oh, and about that cat, that is actually a male calico cat. Calicos are almost always female, with 2 X chromosomes, each with one color, one being linked to the maternal chromosome and the other being linked to the paternal X chromosome. Usually, male cats have only one X chromosome and thus one color, along with the Y sex chromosome. But male calicos can happen when a male cat has 2 X chromosomes along with the typical Y sex chromosome, among other factors like being a chimera with 2 different cell types, and when a kitten's skin cells mutate. So basically, Index found a rare male calico cat. She is certainly a lucky gal. Take notes, Toma. Toma's textbook disappears a few shots after this one, never to be seen again.
Hey, wait a sec. You're accepting this too easily.
Not good. If he realizes I've lost my memory.
Seriously, why keep your memory loss a secret? Just tell Style that you don't remember him. Although Style wouldn't be one to tell you everything that has happened in the Index arc.
He's after Deep Blood. That's the girl I was talking about, the one held in the Misawa prep school.
Her name is Deep Blood?
The name of her power. She possesses the ability to destroy a certain creature.
What creature? What are you talking about?
They go by many names. To put it simply, I'm talking about vampires.
What? That's crazy. You're telling me that vampires actually exist?
Well, you've seen magicians and sorcerers before and after you've lost your memories, but you don't think vampires exist?
So, what's with your stomach?
This? Maybe I ate too much.
Did anyone get the impression that Index was pregnant when they first watched this scene? Before the cat was revealed, I'm sure anyone could. I don't know if I did, though.
In the name of the Lord, a church offers salvation to sheep who have been separated from their flock. And so, this church shall take the cat Sphinx into its fold, for he had been lost. Amen.
Yeah. Well, is that church also going to provide him with food and kitty litter?
You just shut up! Sphinx is going to stay here with us. I don't care what you say.
Well, you better care about what the head of the dormitories will say when they find out about this. Styles seems to have multiple ways to put his runes on walls. First, we saw them being placed with tape, then he throws them and they stick to walls, and now we see him stick them to walls himself, seemingly using tape from the back.
What are you doing with those?
I thought I'd leave her with some protection. Inokentia should do the trick. Who knows what could happen while we're off on this little errand of ours. If we're not careful, some other sorcerers could show up and try to take Index away from here. She can really be a handful.
Do you have a thing for Index?
What? Of all the stupid things to ask! No, she's just someone I look out for, that's it. She's my friend, of course I care about her. But not like that.
Well, clearly, there's something you're not telling us, Style. It's okay, you can admit it. You actually have a crush on Index, don't you?
That's too bad, I need your help. And in order to help, you'll need to know ahead of time what Deep Blood looks like so you'll recognize her. Here, to be honest, I don't have an especially good memory for faces. Her name is Isahimagami.
Where did he get that photo? Also, who took the photo?
Hey, look. See that? What is it? robot? Looks like it's broken.
How the hell do you mistake a knight's armor for a robot? Didn't you see the blood coming out of the suit? I swear by the ward in heaven, your blindness is off the charts.
Megami, wait for me!
She just walked right through it.
No, she stepped on it. She didn't exactly walk through it.
There are two sides, heads and tails, like a coin. We're in the same place as they are, but there's a barrier between us. The students are on the head side, and they can't see people on the tail side like us.
But how did you two end up on the tail side while the other students ended up on the head side? Does Aureolus have control over who enters the school on a specific side?
I wonder how cell phone calls work then.
Huh?
Nothing really. I was just curious whether or not a call made from this side would make it through to the other side.
Say nothing and then say what you just said. Also, since when did you get a new cell phone?
Oh, by the way, there were 2 servings of lasagna in the refrigerator. Did one belong to you?
Why? Did you eat both of them?
I think a much bigger concern is, did she microwave them first before eating them? Does she even know how to use a microwave?
What? Is there something wrong?
Oh no. I was just thinking that you seem to be awfully relaxed. I mean, here we are in enemy territory, and almost the first thing you do is start chatting up a girl.
He raises a good point. Sometimes Toma doesn't seem to give a damn about the situation at hand. This is usually during the times where everything is fairly calm.
I'm not the one who saved Index anymore. I'm not the person she wants. He disappeared when I lost my memory.
He? Toma said that while Index was on screen. Or is that not what he meant? Was he referring to style? Playing the pronoun game can cause confusion.
Okay, Imagine Breaker. Looks like you're up.
Hey, wait!
Style is a dick to Toma.
Great.
How was he able to catch up to Style so quickly? Naruto run.
Why are you running? Your right hand was strong enough to protect you from dragon's breath, but instead of using it to defend yourself, you're showing them your back?
Do you really expect him to remember that? He hasn't told you about his memory loss, nor does he plan to for some reason. Style shoves Toma hard enough that he could have easily fell down the stairs, not being able to successfully land on his feet.
I do have one thing up my sleeve for a situation such as this.
Great, then use it already!
All right.
What was that for?
Sorry, you drew the short straw.
Style's a dick to Toma. Again. Also, splitting from the group plot cliche, why are you giving Sphinx a bath? Cats don't like baths. Oh, come on. Well, it's not as bad as in season 2, but still.
We're all done for now, at least.
You did a pretty incredible job with her.
But she didn't stitch the wounds. That should be the biggest cause of concern.
Are you sure that you haven't had any medical training before?
It's not about training.
Huh? Then how did you...
I told you before, I'm a magician.
In that case, you should be a doctor too, and go through actual medical training. You did a fine enough job treating that student.
But I haven't seen you do any magic.
Then let me show you something.
Toma, maybe it's not a good idea to look directly at Himegami's boobs while she's taking something out of there.
Here. See this? It's my magic wand.
That's a police baton!
How did it fit in Himegami's clothes without it sticking out anyway?
We need to call an ambulance for her.
You should do that.
It's more complicated than that.
How? You were able to call Index from the head side to the tail side, so why wouldn't you be able to call an ambulance?
Aureolus made a promise to me. He said he wouldn't harm any vampires that came for me. He said that he didn't need to. He just needed the vampire's power, because there was somebody who he needed to help. That's why I'm working with him. Instead of killing, my power is helping. That's the way I want it to be.
It's never going to work. Even if he is the kind of person you say he is. This is a mistake that's gone way too far.
Why does Toma believe this is wrong when Himegami is telling him it's safe and that Aureolus wouldn't hurt any vampires?
I've been here longer than you think, and I'm nearer than you imagine.
Aureolus' mouth didn't move at all when he said that.
Damn you!
You will come no closer and your fist will hit nothing but air.
Toma should have punched him before Areolas finished saying that, but logic is thrown out the window.
Now, I find your company lacking. Time to go.
No!
Saving the hero in the nick of time cliché.
This is it. The trail of magical power leading from the ruins ends abruptly right here.
You mean to tell me that Style set up rooms from Toma's house to the Misawa school? That's a lot of cards.
Where am I?
Judging by the fact that you're still here, I'm gonna guess that we're in Japan.
Almost every anime takes place in Japan. Where else would they be? Also, how did they end up in the park? Did the Knights send them here? How big is the barrier surrounding the school?
I have the disturbing feeling that I've forgotten something important. Know what I mean? Well, if it really is important, I'm sure we'll remember it eventually.
Do you really think so?
You will forget everything.
It looks like Areolas forgot something. Toma seems to be remembering everything that has happened before he and Style ended up here, thanks to his right hand.
I want to show you something. It's a little trick I know that will make you feel better in no time.
Home remedies are Kanzaki's specialty. I think I'll just ask her about it later on.
Just close your eyes and then stick out your tongue.
What?
See? This is for using me as a decoy so your cowardly butt could run away!
Well, I'll be damned. Toma was helping and hurting him, helping him remember what happened and potentially hurting his tongue.
Commence the attack, men!
A Gregorian choir. Huh? A real Gregorian choir, not like the alchemist's replica.
Just FYI, the Gregorian chant is one of the first forms of music approved by the Roman Catholic Church. It uses the rhythm of the natural heartbeat to create music. Again, not a nitpick at all, just impressed with subtlety.
It's breaking apart.
Going back up.
So, is anyone in Academy City going to notice that building breaking apart and coming back together again, along with the red clouds? No? Didn't think so. If Areolas kidnapped Index, why didn't he kidnap Sphinx as well?
The alchemist here was once Index's partner as well. This year you have that honor. Last year it was me, and 3 years ago, it was this man, Areolas Izzard.
So, every year, Index has a different partner. If that's the case, who was Index's partner the year after Areolas, or the year after that? Also, wait a minute, if Index gets a different partner every year, then there might come a time where Toma and Index can't be together anymore, unless recent events broke that cycle, which is entirely possible.
Vampires are unique in that they are immortal beings. They store the memories of innumerable lifetimes within their brains. And all those memories do not kill them. No matter how many things they have to remember, their brains never lose the power to function.
That's the plan then? You want the vampires to teach you how they manage what Index cannot? Just out of curiosity, what if it turns out their technique doesn't work for humans?
Obviously, for it to work, I'll have to remove Index from her body.
So you're going to turn her into a vampire?
Is he crazy? He's using magic against Esper students. Bending Himagami to his twisted will. And now he's planning this? To turn Index into a vampire?
I must. It may not be ideal, but it's the only way to save Index.
So, you want to save Index by turning her into a vampire? I don't know how to feel about that. Vampires are said to do more harm than good. Not sure if turning her into a monster is the noble idea to save her.
Then nothing I've said so far has changed your mind. Well, in that case, would you like to do the honors as her current partner? Why don't you tell this misinformed hack about the recent change in Index?
Alchemist, you have no idea what you're talking about.
What's that?
Don't you see yet? You can't do anything because she's already been saved. And not by you. The title of savior belongs to Toma Kamijo here.
Excuse me, Style, you said that you would let Toma tell Aureolus about what happened to Index. But since he doesn't remember what happened in the previous story arc, it kinda makes sense for you to speak for him. But why give him the offer to begin with?
Toma. Toma.
I'm here, Index!
Toma. I'm really hungry. An apple. A juicy red apple. Sounds tasty.
Well, that's a weird thing to say in your sleep. Index sure is want to make these exposition scenes just a tiny bit funnier. Well, at least Aureolus' laugh in the English dub is better than the Japanese version.
You will pay with your pathetic lies!
Stop now!
Saving the hero in the nick of time cliche. Again. Lazy Writing 101. If your character doesn't get any development in the story arc, let alone the overarching plot, just give them a flashback. That way the audience will understand them and care about them more. Yeah, no it won't.
I'm sorry, my sweet Isa. I'm so sorry.
And then before my eyes, they all just disappeared.
If that was your mother who bit you, then dead parent cliche.
Is it true? Can you really use my blood to save someone? And no one will get hurt because of me again? There wasn't so much as the hint of a lie in his smile. No malice, just a simple wish to save somebody he deeply loved. And so, I helped him.
The supposed villain lies to get someone to help them cliche.
Magnify previous order. 10 pistols with simultaneous fire.
Toma survives that.
Well, what do you know? You do seem to be able to use words to manipulate reality in any way you wish.
Obviously. Ars Magna is the strongest power an alchemist can have. I can do anything I...
Oh, really? If so, what could you possibly need deep blood for? Why would you need her to attract vampires for you? Couldn't you just create them without using her? All it would take is a few words from you, right? So why didn't you do it, alchemist? Why didn't you create vampires using your Ars Magna? For that matter, why would you even need them at all?
Style is just making me facepalm about how stupid Aureolus' plan is to use Himegami to make vampires. He raises a good point. Why use Himegami to attract vampires for you? Why not create vampires yourself using Ars Magna? What a stupid villain, not realizing the full potential of his power.
Your skin will be torn from your body!
Did they really need to show us Styles' naked body up close? If anyone was watching this, they would have the same reaction as Toma.
If Izzard can make anything he wishes become reality, then why the elaborate plan? Why didn't he use his power to save Index?
Toma would be excellent at Rewatch.
He's laughing? What's going on?
Well, it looks like Toma has gone berserk. Seriously, imagine if someone like Misaka witnessed that.
I have a pistol. It is combined with the sword. It will remove the head of my opponent. Commence second spinning blade attack. No! Repeat the attack. Multiplying spinning blade tenfold.
Toma has gone so berserk that there is a force field that's making him avoid all of Areolus's swords. Also, what a waste of blades. The most salvageable moment of this whole story arc. Just watch.
I figured it out. I know the secret of Ars Magna. Your power is not making your words into reality.
This boy is a monster!
No, your power is making what you believe into reality. And now that I know that, I will crush you!
That was awesome.
You've been urgently hospitalized twice in only 10 days. What is it? Do you have a thing for the nurses?
I think it's a bit too early to ask that question, Doc. Save it for when Toma visits the hospital at least the next 3 times.
What happened to the alchemist anyway?
Well, for starters, he's lost all of his memories and the ability to use magic.
So basically, it's a similar fate to Toma in the previous arc, only worse. At least Toma is still able to use his powers.
Toma!
Did Style just jump off the window? I hope he landed safely.
Why did you do it? You helped me. I don't know why. You could have died for some stranger. I'm just some random girl you met one day in a fast food restaurant.
And that is what I think you are. Some random girl. No offense to anyone who actually likes Himegami, but I'm not a huge fan of her.
I don't see why I need a reason to help somebody.
Well, fair enough, I guess, but that doesn't change the fact that you've only known her for a day.
Sphinx, where are you running off to?
You can't bring a cat with you to the hospital!
I told her she would be better off just leaving him at the apartment.
See? Himegami is thinking the most logically here.